We find ourselves in a moment of unprecedented change, where the conflict between Israel and Iran has erupted from the shadows into open, direct confrontation. The silence has been shattered, and the world is reeling from the implications of this sudden shift. Israeli forces have launched a massive assault deep into Iranian territory, targeting key military and nuclear sites in a move that has stunned the global community. On June 13, 2025, Israel unleashed a surprise, multi-pronged offensive, striking dozens of targets inside Iran. This was not a limited strike, but a coordinated campaign aimed at crippling Iran's strategic capabilities. Reports indicate that major nuclear facilities, including the main enrichment plant at Natanz, sites in Isfahan, and the heavily fortified Fordo complex, were heavily targeted. While Natanz and Isfahan sustained significant damage, the underground Fordo facility appears to have withstood the initial assault. In addition to targeting buildings, the operation, codenamed Rising Lion, included the targeted assassinations of senior Iranian military officials and nuclear scientists. At least 14 scientists are believed to have been killed, delivering a severe blow to Iran's nuclear program. Israel's objectives were not limited to nuclear concerns. They also aimed at weakening Iran's conventional military power. The Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, claim to have destroyed a substantial portion of Iran's ballistic missile stockpile and neutralized roughly half of Iran's missile launchers, limiting their ability to retaliate on a large scale. This series of strikes has sent an undeniable message. Israel is done fighting in the shadows. The world is now faced with a fundamental shift in a conflict that has simmered for years, with potentially devastating consequences. As tensions continue to escalate, the global community is left holding its breath, fearing the terrifying idea of nuclear escalation becoming chillingly real. This is not just another regional flare-up. It is a critical moment that has pushed the Middle East, and quite possibly the world, to the brink. Iran has responded to Israeli strikes with waves of ballistic missiles and drone attacks, aiming to show they won't back down and to inflict some pain. However, damage to their launch capabilities has forced them to launch missiles from deeper within their territory, potentially affecting their effectiveness and response time. This conflict has also expanded beyond Israel and Iran, with Iran's regional proxies joining in the fight, highlighting the potential for the conflict to spread throughout the region. The international reaction has been one of shock, with urgent calls for everyone to step back. The United Nations has become a stage for condemnations and pleas for restraint. Arab states in the region, including Gulf countries, Egypt, Iraq, and Jordan, have voiced their opposition to the Israeli strikes on Iran and are actively trying to mediate or pressure both sides to prevent further escalation. The International Atomic Energy Agency, has condemned the attacks on nuclear facilities, emphasizing the catastrophic risks involved. This conflict has been a long time coming, with a history of cyber attacks, sabotage of nuclear plants, assassinations of scientists, and support for proxy forces. Iran has consistently challenged Israel's right to exist, while Israel has seen Iran's push for nuclear weapons as an existential threat. The dramatic shift to open, large-scale war in June 2025 is the culmination of several factors, including Israeli intelligence reportedly believing that Iran had restarted activities related to its nuclear weapons program and seeing a golden opportunity as some of Iran's key regional proxies have been weakened. Israeli leadership has framed this operation as preemptive self-defense, essential to stop Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons. They argued that the military operation Rising Lion was not just about protecting Israel, but also about shielding its Arab neighbors from what they see as Iranian aggression. The timing of the operation is also significant, as it was reportedly launched after a U.S. set deadline for a diplomatic solution to the nuclear issue had passed. This suggests that Israel believed all diplomatic options were exhausted, leaving military action as the only way forward. On the other hand, Iran has stuck to a hardline stance, with Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei rejecting any calls to surrender and showing no sign of wanting to negotiate. an end to the war, or its nuclear ambitions while under attack. At the heart of this whole conflict is Iran's nuclear program, which Israel sees as an immediate threat to its very existence. The main goal of Rising Lion was to destroy or significantly degrade this program, targeting enrichment facilities like Natanz and Isfahan, and killing key scientists. While these attacks may have caused a temporary setback, nuclear experts caution that a lot of Iran's enrichment infrastructure likely remains intact and could be rebuilt. The deeply buried and heavily fortified facility at Fordo reportedly resisted the Israeli attacks, raising the chilling thought that the conflict might only delay, not eliminate, Iran's nuclear potential. The assassination of at least 14 nuclear scientists is a major hit to Iran's capabilities in this field, potentially slowing them down for years. But once knowledge is gained, it's incredibly hard to erase completely. Iran's supreme leader's firm stance, combined with attacks on its own soil and nuclear sites, creates an incredibly volatile situation. The risk of further escalation, maybe even involving unconventional responses, simply can't be ignored. The global fear is that this conflict could shatter established norms against targeting such facilities, setting a dangerous precedent for the future. The situation we're facing right now is moving incredibly fast, and it's crucial to understand all the different angles at play. As we witness the direct military confrontation between Israel and Iran, the shockwaves are being felt across the entire Middle East. The risk of a broader regional war breaking out is real, with concerns mounting that U.S. forces in the region could be drawn in either through direct attacks by Iran or its proxies, or if the U.S. decides to openly support Israel. President Trump is faced with a tough decision on how to back Israel without getting entangled in another major conflict in the Middle East. The choice made by the U.S. will determine the next steps in this escalating conflict. The impact of this war is already being felt on global energy markets. Attacks on Iranian oil and gas infrastructure, coupled with the constant threat of further strikes on energy interests in the Gulf, have caused significant disruptions and heightened price volatility. This instability in energy markets has repercussions on economies worldwide, adding an additional layer of concern to this crisis. Amidst the strategic and economic fallout, the human toll is increasing. Reports of hundreds killed in Iran and dozens in Israel underline the tragic consequences of this conflict. The risk of more civilian casualties grows each day as the conflict escalates, posing a threat to cities as primary targets. Arab nations, despite sharing Israel's concerns about Iranian influence, are actively working to de-escalate the situation. The fear of an all-out war disrupting their stability and economies is driving their diplomatic efforts, albeit struggling against the momentum of direct military engagements. The entire region stands at the brink of a catastrophic outcome with the slightest miscalculation or deliberate escalation by any party involved. The events unfolding in June 2025 signify a significant and dangerous departure from the covert warfare between Israel and Iran in recent years. The shift towards open, direct military confrontations has altered the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. Israel's willingness to strike Iran's sensitive sites and the success in degrading Iran's nuclear and missile capabilities signal a new era of conflict in the region. If you find this breakdown helpful in navigating these complex global events, consider subscribing to our channel and hitting that notification bell. Your support enables us to continue providing in-depth analysis on critical developments like this. The recent escalation in the Israel-Iran conflict has left the big picture incredibly uncertain. Has Israel truly set back Iran's nuclear ambitions in a major way, or has it merely delayed the inevitable and hardened Tehran's determination? The risk of a wider regional war, with devastating humanitarian and economic fallout, is now higher than it's been in decades, and those terrifying nuclear stakes cast a long shadow over every single development. It's clear that a new, more dangerous chapter in the Israel-Iran conflict has begun, and the path forward is loaded with peril. What are your thoughts on this sudden escalation? Where do you see this conflict heading? Let us know in the comments below. For more deep dives into critical global events, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others who need to understand what just happened. Stay informed and stay safe.